Hi everyone, welcome to You Make the Call. I'm Dick Jarvis along with my co-host Barry Sinewitz. Thanks for joining us tonight, if you are with us tonight. We know the Bruins are on, and they're on about the same time as we're here now, so we're hoping that you watch the Bruins rather than us, and that you catch us tomorrow or some other.
You can watch us on Facebook.
On YouTube.
YouTube, Facebook tomorrow, tonight, after the game. You can watch us anytime.
We fully understand, so we wish we were there with you watching the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, for those few of you who probably are watching, thank you for joining us. We're gonna go over a lot of different things tonight. Partly because what's going on with the Bruins, we figured the show would be light anyway, and so we're gonna do some updating stuff, and maybe one serious issue, and just some updating on others. So hopefully we won't bore you to death, and we'll have a nice smooth show. But I wanted to just mention a couple of things that we haven't talked about in a while. It was in the paper in the past, and issues that were in the paper daily for like a week or so, and then all of a sudden dropped off the radar. And we got a couple of things that we just want to mention, just to remind everybody that these things are still happening. It's just that nothing's been public about it. And to let you know that for those of you who are interested, the restaurant, the Greek restaurant up on Route 1, Brothers Cuisine, is closing at the end of this month, and it's closing to make way for the marijuana, the medical marijuana facility that's going to go there. So they're finally going to be going through with that. No details as to when the facility is going to be started to be constructed, but that's what's going to happen. So the very end of this month, the 28th or 29th, Brothers Casino will be closed, and now they're supposedly going to open up a new restaurant someplace.
They are looking. I did hear that. So they're looking
it's
to
just not
move.
going to be. They're moving basically to make room.
It's a very popular restaurant.
Yeah.
And I'd hate to see them just close and go away. Right. So hopefully they'll find a new location.
They've got other restaurants. That's not.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do. And so anyway, I just wanted to let you know that it's not that we've been watching it, but we wanted to just kind of update you in case you wonder what's happening. You go by there and you see it closed, you say, what's that all about? So, and that's where the medical marijuana facility is going to be located, processing facility. So,
and that's going to set off a domino effect with that marijuana zoning, because I believe that the same company who bought Brothers Casino has bought Don's Power, that property. So they're going to probably make Brothers Casino, then they'll have a big parking lot, and that kind of sticks it to the people that wanted to open the marijuana facility in the back, which I think will start to make the city look at other areas of the city to zone it. And then it's going to get down to, they won't survive on medical. They're going to have to go recreational, because that's what everybody's going to be doing. And that's another whole discussion, whether that goes on the ballot or the city brings it back for another vote to allow it. So it's like a domino effect that's happening here. It's been dormant, then all of a sudden, bang. Don's gets purchased, out of the blue. So the game is afoot, as Sherlock used to say.
Well, and it's the start of that whole process that you're just talking about, that domino effect, as you call it. This is the first leg of that, that restaurant closing and making way for the facility. So, but that's going to be happening at the end of the month, just so you know. The other thing I wanted to mention, we've heard over the years, we all have heard over the years, and how Peabody is a destination community. Everybody wants to come to Peabody and whatnot. I know it's PR and puffing the city up all the time. I know that the mayor and his people have to do that, but there's a little exaggeration there going on, because recent U.S. Census data, as far as population growth on the North Shore, shows that Peabody, out of 19 communities that they actually surveyed, has the lowest population growth in the last 8 years, from 7 years, 2010 to 2018.
Wow.
The lowest. Now, I just wanted to let that because not it's just not. It's not growing as fast as some people lead us to believe it's growing, and I think that's a good thing, to be honest with you. But
You could fool me by the traffic.
yeah, well, other communities are still coming through here, so that, you know.
Well, exactly, but you know, the other night, Dick, I had a licensing board meeting, and upstairs they were doing a presentation. I guess it was a company that the city hired to talk about its housing plan and how they're moving forward in the future to accommodate young people and the housing boom, you know. And, you know, so we've been building in overlay districts and swamps and industrial zones with overlay districts, and now, like on Pulaski Street, they call it the MOD.
Mod Squad.
Yeah,
Mod Squad.
Mill Overlay District. So over there, they actually did a nice thing. They put the brewery, daycare, all sorts of retail. So then the kicker comes in at the end. They want to put apartments. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but they see in there's other areas of the city that they could. There's another MOD at the Al Fine building, and the reason I brought it up is the mayor stated last night at the budget hearing that the L. Fine building is years behind on its real estate taxes.
Well, let's talk about that later, though.
Yeah, okay, but in terms of this, you know, if why can't that MOD put there with businesses on the floor and apartments up on the second floor instead of shoving everything and cluster it downtown so it's you know, it's gridlock.
Well, I know that the city has been on a crusade to build, as you mentioned, swamps and all that, but it's basically you know, these. The wet water, you know, you know, those kind of areas where there's water, you know, and you know, next to lakes and everything else. Like up there at the Devil's Dishville, they've got you know, some property there right along.
Oh, they built right along. That should never have been built.
It should never have. But these things, this is what the city will do anything to build, and yet here we see some of these statistics, right? So let me just give you a couple, just so you know, and just so the folks out there watching know. Peabody had a rate of a growth rate in from 2010 to 2018, let's say 7 years, of 3.9%. That's the lowest of these 19 communities. So I'm not going to give you all 19, but I'm going to give you the top one. The top one was Salisbury. Salisbury had a growth rate of 14.5%, which would, by the way, is the sixth highest community growth rate, population growth rate in the Commonwealth, in the state of Massachusetts. And then following Salisbury was Middleton, 11.8%, and the third one third one is Swampscott at 10.5%, and Topsfield was like at 10. So in other words, these communities are growing at 3-4 times higher, faster than Peabody, and then there was a lot of other communities in between. But Peabody, just so you know, Peabody was last. And I'm not saying that's bad. It's good because we don't need to, you know, to be you know, have any people here now. We haven't got enough facilities for them now, and you know, the impact on the infrastructure would be really you know, really difficult to handle, especially with water and sewer and all that kind of stuff.
It would be interesting, Dick, to see each one of those communities is very different. Middleton is more of a bedroom community. Salisbury has oceanfront. Swampscott has ocean. But what I got out of that meeting, I stuck my face in upstairs for a few minutes. I watched it, and then I kind of, you know, you needed no dose to get into it. But their plan is to make small units, 500 square foot apartments, and even make small little, almost like Bob houses communities, you know, clustered around. They showed some pictures on a map, and I was just like, wow, is that what we're going to evolve to? Is to little igloos where, you know, kids live in these gnomes. So, you know, we do need apartments, but at what, you know, at what expense and what cost to the city? So well, it's interesting.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because it is interesting because there's a very interesting thing going on. It ended today, I think. I think that the court decision was going to be done today. There's a piece of property. For those of you who know it, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't, right at the junction Lynn and Linfield Street, across the street from the gas station that's there. That is it Shell? I guess it's a Shell station, where the old store, where Louis'
I
old
know
store
exactly
used to
what
be,
you
right
mean,
there. And there's a piece of property a guy bought for $1,000 8 years ago. And it was it's no more than 1,700 and let's say 50 square feet, 4/10 of an acre. I
It's
guess.
3 apartments. There you go.
But anyway, but in the old days, there was a house on that property, and it went into disrepair and whatnot, and the city condemned it, and then they finally tore it down in 2011. The guy had bought it, I think, within that time frame, but before it was torn, the house was torn down, and he didn't know about it, and the city tore the house down. So, but the thing is that the house was condemned. It had to be removed and all that. Not that the city did anything wrong, but anyway, the interesting thing is about it. He says the guy that bought it says, well, look there was a house on there back 100 years ago or whatever, 75 years ago, whatever it was. I can put a house on there. And the city said you can't. So he took him to court, all kinds of courts, the lower court, the superior court. And so anyway, he lost all his court decisions, but I think that case was being heard again. The appeal was being heard today, and I think you said that the guy lost, right?
Yeah, he did lose in court.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess he's not going to win his case, but it was interesting because his argument, I thought, made sense to me. If there was a house on it before, why can't I put a house on it now? So I know zoning laws change and all that kind of stuff, but he had a good argument. But evidently he represented himself in court, so he didn't really carry the day with his own issues, and that's probably why he did lose, because as badly as he did, because he represented himself. But then he get into calling. It looked like a movie. What was that Dog Day with the judgment? What do you call that?
Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah, Dog Day Afternoon. That's all I could think of when I saw that. I saw the article, and I started to laugh because this guy was calling the judge names, calling the city attorney names, crooks and all this stuff.
Oh my God.
So anyway, he did lose, but I want to bring it up because that piece of land is vacant right now. I don't, there's nothing on it, but that was in litigation, and I don't know what's going to happen to it now.
Wow.
And
What about a place for a cell phone antenna?
well, why don't we do what the city usually does? Why don't we put open space?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Let's put 2 park benches and
that's
a tree.
That's in Ward 1. I think that's in Ward 1. Is it Ward 1 or 2?
South Peabody,
So
yeah,
why don't they move the cell phone tower from Verizon right over there and drop it right there?
That's a thought. That's a thought.
I don't know if it's a good thought, but it's a thought.
But what they should put a park bench and a couple of trees there, and
Yeah,
so-
well, that could be.
open space. But anyway, I just thought it just tickled me. I wanted to bring it up because some of you who may have known that was going on, it looks as though that gentleman that bought it, Mr. Barth, had lost his case. So not sure what's going to happen to that land. So, but anyway, so I thought I'd bring that up as well. And I think that's it for me on just harvesting a few items to bring up to update. Oh, I know the other thing I do want to ask our viewers out there, those few that may be watching. We haven't heard much update about the property development up at the old J.B. Thomas, the Kindred Hospital location. The 247 apartments or whatever it is, 147 apartments, whatever it is. And it's been strangely silent. We've mentioned it on this show a few times, where there was a lack of communication, and neighbors were upset because they weren't being updated and brought into the process and all that kind of stuff. And which was a viable and valuable and very appropriate thing to bring up by the neighbors. So we brought it up on the show because it is something that's viable. And since that show, it's like there's a shutdown on all information. It's
strange.
So I wanted to ask anybody that may be watching right now, or maybe when they watch later on or tomorrow, whatever, next show they could bring it up if they remember, bring it up. We'd like to find out what the status is. and have the neighbors been fully included in the whole process now? Or is it what it always has been, and it's just, once there's a little match lit about it, there's one meeting and then nobody hears from anybody again, one of those things. So I'd be very interested to find out if anything's been happening with, the neighbors' participation in this whole project. And so if you could call us, if anybody's out there now, you can call us and want to update us, what you feel, what's going on, update. We'd love to hear from you. If not, maybe on the next show, someone can call and give us an update.
Originally, they needed a zoning change first. Before anything can happen, you need a zoning change on the property. Then, it's possible maybe they backed out with the resistance from the neighbors. And maybe the city said, well, this isn't the right.
Well, they still can build so many apartments without the zoning.
Yes,
change.
they can build single family.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
build away.
The zoning change has to do with the multi, the multi development. Because right now you can't do that up there. So they have to go from what their zoning classification is right now into they could build multi-level housing over there. So, so neighbors didn't want that. So, but anyway, that's what the issue is. And they still could build, but they wouldn't be able to get as many.
It would be nice to get an update from the counselor. If he even presents it to the council, hey, you'll just let everybody know that it's in limbo right now. They haven't gotten back to us. Say something, But,
well,
I don't know.
But anyway, so if anybody knows, give us a call. We'd appreciate it very much. Okay, so you got something there. Oh, you got something on the
I
Verizon?
wanted to just mention, it's another thing, the Verizon issue with the cell phone tower.
Yep.
It's kind of gone dormant. And the last thing we heard is, they were going to have a deal with the Peabody Electric Light, and for what I'm being told is they are nowhere near a deal, which is unfortunate. And Verizon does not want to pay, meaning the money to access each pole. There's a set fee that's kind of the norm in the industry, and so what I get out of it is they're holding a lawsuit over Peabody to get better rates. And
what's that, an installation fee on the
no,
pole?
well, per pole they get a fee for each pole.
Right.
So if it was $1,000 and there's 15 poles, it's $15,000 per year, and then there's a one-time, I believe, installation fee. And or maybe a maintenance fee, I'm not sure. And they are balking and they're not agreeing to anything. So there's no deal coming soon unless, and Verizon has kind of painted themselves into this corner playing hardball because of this lawsuit. We got the city right where we want them. And the whole thing has gone quiet. And all we heard is it was a deal soon, and months and months.
We
and
have
months
been hearing that, that's right.
And we have nothing. And, quite frankly, after that call we had from a Verizon employee saying, you're getting the cell phone tower whether you like it or not, I'm done with Verizon. I hope RCN, could come into Peabody and the heck with Verizon and provide us with internet and, I don't have to go to Comcast. So we'll see if anything ever happens there. But
So have they stopped negotiating?
last thing I heard, I haven't heard of any talks. So if there's no talks, they're just waiting.
See, that's a bad thing when there's no talks.
Yeah,
they can still be way away from some kind of an agreement. But as long as they keep the process of communication open, there's always hope that they can come to some kind of an agreement.
Not to beat a dead horse, but if there's no deal, then we're back to what? It's going to go back to court, and then it's going to be up to the neighbors to defend themselves against Verizon. That's been floated by somebody, so that's ridiculous because the neighbors have no chance against $1 billion corporation. So I don't know what the plan is, but if there's no deal, those neighbors are going to be for a tough time. So it's unfortunate.
Well, okay. I didn't realize
that's what I was. That's what I was told.
I didn't realize because I haven't heard an update since the last time. Who was it? Someone had indicated or suggested that there was a deal in the making pretty soon. So this is kind of like.
Yeah,
this
when
is
was
kinda
that?
Like,
A month ago, 2 months ago, 3
no,
months
it's
ago?
just I think our last
Well, no,
show.
they always say that, but it hasn't seemed. Now, if they come out of the blue and settle, I just don't see how Verizon is taking this hardline stance. They must think that that the city controls the electric light plant, and by getting us in this lawsuit, they're going to tell Electric Light, you better do this. We want those rates dirt cheap. Well, we're going to put that cell phone tower, and the city is separate from the light plant. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and it appears, though, I mean, from the inside information and whatnot, I don't know all the details on the numbers, but I do know this, that, and being quite candid about it, honest about it, Verizon wants to steal those poles for like nickels on the dollar. And here's a big multinational company with one of the giants in the industry. I mean, and Peabody can certainly use the income, and
It was also
from
yeah.
these poles and the fees that go along with installation charges and all that kind of stuff. So it's like it's again a bully in a schoolyard pushing around everybody. You know what I mean?
And you talk about income, Dick. The property owner is being. I thought I read in the paper that he's been getting payments for like 3 years from Verizon. As long as this has been going on, he's been getting
one
money.
down here.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
the
No,
property
okay.
owner.
Yeah, okay.
The limousine company, and I'm like, wow, if that's true.
No, I was talking about the poles, but no, I know
that revenue would go to Electric Light.
Yeah.
That wouldn't go to the city itself.
Right.
The only way we'd get revenue is if we put it back on Coolidge Ave property.
Well, why wouldn't we be happy about the Electric Light getting revenue? I mean, they do a pretty good job for us.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what
Maybe
the heck,
they'll lower the rates
who's
again.
against anything like that?
Well, they'll lower the rates again. It's a great company.
So the thing is, I mean, I wasn't inferring anything about Michael's limousine. I was talking about the poles themselves.
Yeah.
They wanted to get nickels on the dollar for the poles, and then don't want to pay the maintenance fee or the installation fee and maybe maintenance fees as well. Again, a big player pushing around somebody they think is a little player. But anyway, so that's the update there. So regardless of what you heard, there's no imminent solution to this thing. There's no agreement coming as far as we know. So we do know that, and we just don't know. And we know the reason for it. We just don't know what's the next step. I hope they're still at least talking. We'll talk next week or something like that.
Cross our fingers. That's all you can do.
Even if they call to say hi to one another, they keep the lines of communication open. You know what I mean?
Can you hear me, Dick?
Do you hear me now?
When I don't call, you know it's me.
When the phone don't ring,
it's me.
But anyway, those are the 4 or 5 things we have to update you on, and we wanted to do that just so for your edification, to let you know what some of these things are going on. If you go by the Brothers Casinos, you'll know what, and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, what else we got?
Well, the reason I brought up the L. Fine building is, and we're going to start talking a little about.
Tell people where the L. Fine building is.
L. Fine building is on Linfield Street, near Stonewood Plaza.
Yep.
It's directly, if you're looking
It's
at
right
it,
before
to the left.
Yeah.
It's a dilapidated old mill building that's polluted to high heaven. And this has been going on, I don't know why it's gone on for 4.
It's that big, long building in the back.
It's got to be 4
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And it's a huge piece of property that needs to be developed, but it's polluted, and the property owner is being it's not a good guy. He was actually even dumping more chemicals onto it in oil tanks at the beginning. This goes back to when I was on the council, and we had many meetings on it. But so the point was, here we are, probably on our budget, we're 6 to 7 million, I believe, in the hole on the city budget. Probably about 3 million on the 3 point something on the school side, and another 3 million or so on the city side. And here we have somebody that owns a property that hasn't paid taxes. So it's hurting us on many levels. We can't develop the property. We need the revenue, to put towards our tax levy,
Right.
and nothing is happening. And I don't know why the whole project is stalled. They've made all these promises to the people of the city. We're going to have the DEP down there. We're going to make sure this thing gets cleaned up, and it's this. And that's what we've got, and the whole thing has just been dropped. And now we're taking him to court, the mayor revealed, and that's why the point of it is, paying your taxes, and it's a whole slew of businesses in the city that aren't paying their taxes. So, for example, a couple weeks ago, I'm watching the council meeting, and a guy in the adjacent plaza, I think it's Palumbo Properties there, he's already in there, and he wants to put chairs in his roast beef place outside for outdoor dining. And so you need a special permit for it. And then the collector puts a thing in there, he hasn't paid his taxes, to the tune of like $82,000. Meanwhile, he's taking revenue from all these businesses who are renting from him, and I just don't understand how it's left to that position. And there's another one where we're $6 million, $7 million in the hole, and we could use that 82 grand. So I don't know what's going on over there, but the next time, if I was on the council, the next time that person came for a special permit, take it back.
Well, that should be taken into account. And now, correct me if I'm wrong. You were on the council. Hopefully you know this. If someone comes before the council for a special permit, there's got to be some things in play there before the city council makes a decision, yes or no, on a special permit request. I mean, there must be some information that the city councilors get about this individual or this business. Okay, I mean that's the prudent and judicial thing to do, and I think it's the way it's done. All the information about that person or that corporation or that developer or whatever is gathered in a report so that the councils can look at it, so they have not only questions to ask, but also what kind of person this is or whatever. Who's before us? What's their standing with the city? Are they in good standing with the city? I mean that's the very first thing. And these people come before the council wanting special permits and favors that to put this up, and they're not paying their taxes. What right do they think they have any standing with any councilor or the city to say, yeah, go ahead, just do it?
As a business owner and a property owner, I pay my taxes. And I find it offensive.
It is offensive.
And you know what? I won't go in there. I'm not going to step foot in there.
It's not that. It's just it's part of a...
I feel like it's a slight to the community.
Of course it is. Then that's why you wouldn't go in, because, and I agree with you. I mean, the thing is that, we pay our taxes. God forbid if we didn't pay our taxes, there'd be,
There'd be a lien slapped on my house.
But the thing is that, and then you got these, and then they say, well, there'll be jobs lost. You got 5 people here that work in the city. That live in the city of Peabody and all. You probably do all kinds of, maneuvering to get the city off their back about paying back taxes. But the fact of the matter is that's their responsibility to do it.
Yeah.
And they need to do it, and they should do it.
When you get the package as a city councilor for a special permit, you'll get from all the departments, whether the fire code is up to date, or whatever issues are, and if there's back taxes, the collector will say owes $7,000 in back taxes. I guess on this one, when I looked at it, it didn't even say the amount. It just says owes back taxes. So I was just wondering why that number wasn't printed there.
It was too large.
That may very well be.
That's probably what it is.
That was
too
strange.
Large, yeah.
So, but look, you can't penalize the person that wants his outdoor seating because he already has a special permit, to operate his roast beef place, and I get that. But in the future, I think you got to draw the line and say no more, no more. You can't, you don't want to hurt the small guy, but the property owner is making revenue off of this to pay his taxes.
And he doesn't.
Now, the restaurant business is one of the biggest businesses to go under, right? They're the riskiest business. They're in, they're out, they're popular, then bang, they're gone. So I don't know. I don't know the status of anything over there, but needs to pay his taxes.
And that should be
and it hurts us. We're in budget time.
Number one priority when they come before the council too. So anyway, but if anybody wants to call in on anything we're talking about tonight, 978-977. 0570. Give us a call. And if you have any updates on something like, the J.B. Thomas construction project or anything else that you want us to know about. So, all right, what else we got?
Well, the budget began last night. And as much as I could, I sat through 10 years of them, Dick. So as much as I could watch of it, you know, because I know the routine, and you remember the joke I made. Move to approve right at the beginning, because that's going to be the end result of this. Except for one or two people objecting to it.
You know those things they used to put in the back of the cars, a little cat with the hands going like this. Move to approve. Move to approve. Motion to approve.
Yeah. So the budget was roughly 159 million, 77 for the school department, and then another 4.25 for the VOC. So really the school budget is, because I consider them linked. It's school, it's education costs. So you're like 82 million for the school budget and about 77 for the city side, for a total roughly in that 159. And the mayor laid out a lot of expenses that were mandatory, like that. Well, not mandatory, but health insurance was negotiated. Yep. There's $1 million there. You had cost of living increases. You had debt service. The water and sewer infrastructure plan. I think the water and sewer is about 9%. I get that. There's a huge plan in place to improve our water. How we get our water. So I get that. Cost of living increases.
Yeah, debt service,
contracts,
cost of living, contracts. Yeah, I mean those are standard things.
And they're trying. The mayor mentioned there was like 7 jobs eliminated. He didn't mention what they were, so I couldn't really judge whether they were full-time, part-time. But he did say that. If I was there, I would have raised my hand and say, where are they? Who are they? What are the jobs? No one did that. He's offering some early retirement to the teachers and to administrators, which I kind of don't get, because if the high school principal says I'm retiring, you got to, they got to replace them. It's not like you're not going to replace the high school principal. And I think the incentive was, I read in the papers, if you're making 90 grand a year and they want you to retire, we'll give you $5,000 for 3 years in a row, and then you retire now, and then they replace you with a teacher making $45,000. Yeah, right out of school.
That's unit A. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get the financial part but I don't know if it's educationally sound. I'm sure there's a lot of great teachers coming right out of school, but it's nice to have experienced teachers.
Well, to be honest with you, it is. But the other side of that coin is, as we all know, people who've worked, all their lives and whatnot. Teaching is a tough profession. It takes a toll on you, and I wouldn't blame somebody that got 20, 25 years in and said, hey, look I'm taking it.
But if you're good, we want to keep you. That's the point. If you're making a good pay, you're getting a good pay for a reason, unless you're, maybe.
But that still doesn't. You're good, but still doesn't relieve the. We have a call. Okay, thanks, Tommy. It doesn't relieve the fact that the stress goes away. It doesn't go away because you're good. That's why.
Oh, no.
Let's take this call. We'll get into it a little bit. Caller, you're on.
Good evening.
Hey.
Good evening.
I'm calling about the early retirement incentive.
Okay.
Okay, yep.
So my question is, wasn't there an incentive years ago where I don't know if it was the city or the state, they would give the teachers years of service or maybe add on to their age instead of this well, it's not a lump sum, it's spread out over 3 years. Instead of this extra salary, I guess you would call it.
It's like a bonus or whatever.
A bonus, yeah.
You're right. What happened is with a lot of these previous retirement, this is like an retirement incentive. The past way they did it was exactly what you said. Is they added on if you needed 5 years you needed like 25 years to retire or something like that, and you only had 20. They'd give you the 5 years. You know what I mean? Or and if your age, if you were too young to retire, they didn't bump your age up. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So. They didn't, that's the way they did it because they were encouraging people to retire. They wanted to get you out of the system. And I think the mentality was just a little bit different. They will they wanted people to leave. This here is a situation where they don't want to come out and say they want you to leave, but they're giving you incentives to hopefully, $5,000 for the people in Unit A, and I think it's like almost $7,000 for people in teachers in Unit B, or employees in Unit B. It doesn't seem much of an incentive to me, but I don't think they're trying to force people out. They're hoping to coax them out. That's what it is.
And they didn't say what percentage or how many people might take advantage of this early retirement. It was nothing in it. There was an article in the paper. They didn't mention it really in any of the meetings. I didn't see it.
Right.
Maybe there was.
But the difference was, you're absolutely right. The difference was they were trying to drive people out, and they were willing to do everything they could to get them out of the system. In Peabody, I don't think they want to get to that level where they don't want people to think they're trying to drive teachers out. They want to. It's always better, isn't it, if someone leaves because they have an incentive to leave. That's your fallback position. You say, well, we didn't force them out. They went on their own. So they don't want to be in a position of losing some really good, valuable teachers, and then, it hits the fan, things don't work out, and then people, the parents are going to blame the city for forcing these people out. They don't want to be in that position. So I think that's what the situation is. Let's see if we can coax them out. If they do, then we're covered, because we can say, well, we didn't force them out. They took it on their own. So I think that's what it is.
Okay, but that's the thing, because I'm one of those people who has over 25 or more years of service, and I'm talking with other teachers who are in the same boat. They have that many years of service. I haven't heard from anyone who said that they're taking this. None of the teachers in that category feel that it's worth it.
Now, in your discussion with these other folks, did they give you any kind of a reason why it's not appealing to them?
It's just not.
Enough?
In the end, like financially, it's not worth it, because, like in my position, that wouldn't put me at 80%.
Right. You need more years, is what you need.
Right. I would need more years of service, or even if they would give me the age. But even my peers are saying the same thing. Well,
see, they want you to leave because they want to try to save money and bring younger people in who would get less salary. But they're not willing to do the stuff for you to get you to leave. And maybe it's not financially worthwhile to do that either. So, so maybe, I can't blame them for that. If it's going to cost more to have you folks, leave the system, it's going to cost the city too much. So maybe that's what it is. But if they can coax a few out, I suppose, that's a savings there. But I just don't think there's enough of a savings there anyway.
I agree.
To be honest with you, I'll be honest with you. I've dealt with budgets all my life, in private industry and whatnot, and I can tell you, they don't do enough on cutting budgets. If in the old days, Peter Teresian was mayor. If the city exceeded its budget, he'd send a memo out. Every department's cutting 10%.
Oh.
Boom. Raises are frozen. No one's getting the raise. There's no 222, and it's guaranteed. All these incentive, these raises, cost of living raises and whatnot. None of that. So in other words, if you have a budget crisis, you have a budget crisis. So you do what you have to do, and you hear, well, people might leave if they don't. Well, let them leave. Let them leave. Let them go get a job someplace else. Okay? That's what they're trying to do with the teachers now, right? Let them go. Well, we'll backfill them with people who are going to get less money. So, this idea, this ancient idea and nonsense idea of people who want to hold their jobs and get raises, even though the city is exceeded its budget, and the people that work for the city are benefiting from that, okay? That's not a fair thing for all of us. If the city's in trouble with the budget, they're in trouble with the budget. So you got to do what you got to do. Freeze the budget,
but
implement the 5% decrease.
But what in these unions, those are collective bargain positions. So those raises, they've been negotiated.
Yep.
We're talking about non-union people
The
getting
administrative
guaranteed
staff,
raises.
right,
Well, we're $7 million in the hole. and you got a part-time lawyer making $1.17, getting 2, 2, and 2, that strikes me wrong.
It strikes everybody wrong, okay?
And,
but what I'm saying is, my point is, Carla, that in the old days, what they used to do, when Terejan was mayor, there's a freeze, period. No one gets a raise. Not the union people, not the negotiated ones, but all those other stuff. And maybe part-timers would be let go.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the way you attack budget problems. You don't attack budget problems by trying to coax people out of the system in the hope that they'll go. And then, okay, so say some people do go, Carla. I mean, how much is it going to save, really? Now, they made I'll tell you how great intelligent our city councils are, and really how astute they are. They make a budget cut last night of cutting, the liquor board light. The liquor board. Now, how much is the liquor? Who knows about the liquor board? I mean, there's like 6 people. What the hell is that all about? This is what I mean. It's nonsense. I mean, they go about it all the wrong way. It's nonsense. Now, if it happens that some teachers will say, I wish I'd get an incentive to leave, I'd love to leave. Okay, so you float it out there. Those who take it, great. But don't make a big deal out of it like this is a whole new, approach to it. It's nothing. I mean, this stuff's been around for a long time. Offer 50 programs if you have to save money in the budget. And if one of them is incentives to teachers, it's one of the programs that you have to save money. I think that putting a 10% or a 7%, 5% decrease on department budgets, implement it right away. That's what you got department heads for. That's why they're making the big